This video is to be used for educational purposes only and is not intended to replace individual research or licensed investment advice. Unique experiences and past performance does not guarantee future results. Trading stocks, options, and spot currencies involves substantial risk, and there's always the potential for loss. Your trading results may vary. No representations are being made that any software or training will guarantee profits or not result in losses from trading. This is the PremiereTrade Market Wrap.
This is the Market Wrap on a Friday. I'm Jack Lott, and this is the James Dix Financial Network. The Consumer Price Index, the CPI, rose 0.8% last month. That's the biggest one-month increase since a 1.2% increase in September of 2005, when the country was hit by rising energy costs in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. While output at manufacturers, mines, and utilities increased 0.3% in November, capacity utilization rose to 81.5%, that from 81.4% in October. The Senate passed a trim-backed energy bill. It would bring higher gas mileage cars and SUVs into showrooms in the coming decade and fill their tanks with ethanol. The measure was approved with strong bipartisan support, 86-8, after Democrats abandoned their efforts to impose billions of dollars in new taxes on the biggest oil companies, unable by one vote to overcome a Republican filibuster against the new taxes. Germany's biggest airline, Deutsche Lufthansa, said that it's paying $300 million for a 19% stake in JetBlue Airways, whose stock has lost about half of its value since an operational meltdown last Valentine's Day. And Palm, the troubled maker of Trio smartphones, laid off about 10% of its workforce this week to cut expenses. In Forex news today, inflation in the 13 nations that use the euro surged to an annualized rate of 3.1% in November, the highest level since the currency was first used back in 2002 and above an earlier estimate. It's now well over a guideline of just under 2% that the European Central Bank looks to when it decides whether to raise interest rates or to boost borrowing costs. Canada's dollar fell to the lowest in 3 months on speculation that accelerating inflation will bolster demand for the U.S. dollar. The Canadian dollar extended its losses following stronger than expected U.S. inflation and retail sales data dampened speculation of how much lower the Fed will reduce borrowing costs next year. The Australian dollar fell as investors sold higher yielding assets on concern that credit market losses will slow global economic growth. The currency declined for a third day as the rate Australian banks charged each other for loans rose to the highest in more than a decade. And consumer confidence at major Japanese companies fell to its lowest in more than 2 years amid anxiety about the stronger yen and a possible slowdown in the U.S. economy. Some of the scheduled economic reports next week include Empire State Index, the current account balance, Home Builders Index, housing starts, gross domestic product, leading indicators, Philly Fed survey, personal income and spending, as well as consumer sentiment. In earnings news today, Universal American issuing a 2008 earnings guidance in the range of $1.83 to $1.95, and DTE Energy issuing 2008 operating earnings guidance of $2.70 to $3.10 per diluted share and reaffirming 2007 operating earnings guidance. Scheduled earnings next week. Well, we're at the end of the third quarter earnings season, and it will be the week before Christmas. The earnings calendar doesn't have many companies left to report, and some of the marquee names include Best Buy, Dave & Buster's, Actuant, Joey Global, Circuit City, and Walgreens. Fourth quarter earnings season begins on Tuesday, January 8th, when Alcoa releases their fourth quarter earnings figures. Some of the stocks in the news today: Leap Wireless International's third quarter net loss widened to $43.3 million, or 64 cents a share. Alphatech Holdings expects total 2008 revenue of about $95 million. Analysts were looking for $91.5. And Quest Communications says its board declared a regular quarterly dividend of 8 cents, its first in 6 years. That is the Market Wrap on a Friday. I'm Jack Lott. Have a great weekend. This is the James Dix Financial Network.